In today's video, Eric Jensen of Sartorial Jensen is going to deliver the bespoke fresco suit I commissioned. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Hey, Eric, thank you so much for coming back to Dallas. I can't tell you how excited I am that we finally have this piece done.
Yeah, it was a lot of good work put into it.
Yeah.
We're excited to see how it turns out.
It's a bona fide kind of bespoke suit.
Yeah.
You know, what's unique, it's totally made here by you.
Yeah.
And as far as a bench made is concerned, this suit is fully bench made. You were the only pair of hands that touched anything on this suit jacket. Other than the trousers, but you still cut those trousers.
Yeah. So everything was cut to your measurements. We have a pattern on file with your name on it.
Yeah.
And made in-house by hand by me. So everything from the lapel roll to the chest canvas to the buttonholes. Everything done by hand. So
and so this is the final delivery, and so we had the measurements. We had a kind of a forward first fitting, and I think we had one or two other fittings kind of along the way, which is part of the bespoke process.
Yeah, especially for a first-time client, where I don't know everything about your body, and as we go and as the suit progresses, I learn more and more about who you are and how you stand and how your body is. And so for first-time clients, I usually require this. And even after when I deliver, as we see this piece on you today, there might still be things that, need to be tweaked and need to be adjusted. Yeah. And that's part of the process, and that's, I guess, part of my oddity, is that I don't want it to leave if I'm not happy. You can be happy, but if I'm not happy, then it can't leave. If I'm happy and you're not happy, it can't
But can
leave.
you ever be perfectly happy
no.
bespoke
You never
tailor?
will. And you know what the other thing is because it's made by hand and because it's not stamped out by a machine, everything, there's bits and pieces about this suit that's going to be different and going to give you that little bit of nuance that's going to scream it's made by hand.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of a bespoke suit, and that's the beauty of an Italian suit is that essence of the hand is intrinsic in that suit.
Yeah. Now your style, of course, Italy is a big country, and you've got the Milanese, the Florentine, the Roman and the Neapolitan styles. You were trained in Rome.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I was trained in Rome, and I think that Rome gets a misconception, I feel like. A lot of people, when they think of Rome, they think of a Brioni suit, which is a lot more almost Milanese, if you ask me, in its structure. I think a Roman suit is that happy medium between the two, between the north and the south, as it sits within the geography of Italy. It's a very soft suit still. It's a very clean suit as well, but the softness is intrinsic to a Roman suit. And so, and I think that's intrinsic to most of all of Italian suits, is that effortless, that effervescence of it. Yeah. And, to me, that's the beauty of a suit, because I think in America we find a suit as something that's very, uniformal or stuffy, if you will. Yeah. And I think the Italians view it as something that's just enjoyable, and it's there that you wear it during life and you wear it, to travel.
Well, whenever I think of Italian tailoring, I really think of, there's just I don't want to say handicraft, but, the handmade nature of it, it really kind of shows through of the garment in a way that's really unpretentious.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Whenever you see a good Italian suit, even the best Italian suit made by, the maestros, you still see an element of, kind of handcraft through its small kind of imperfections that actually I think give the suit a beauty that's unique to Italy, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Gives it the patina, if you will.
Yeah, totally. It's the stamp of approval. Yeah. It's some of the Napoleon tailors say the difetto è l'effetto. Yeah. It's the defect is the effect. It's that piece that doesn't. It's not abrasive, but it catches the eye in a way, and in that.
It shouldn't be sloppy.
No.
Right? Yeah.
There's different. It's like the sleeve head that I'm wearing right now. It's unkept, but it's not sloppily unkept, but it's still unkept. And that's the point of it. It's a travel suit. It's a suit that I wear when I'm just, when I'm popping down to Dallas because, we need to get down here. And
it's not precious. It's not,
it's
pristine.
No. But it is and it's not.
It is and it's not. Yeah, that's right. It should still drape, beautifully, and the sleeve should, be perfectly set, and you should have a nice roll of lapel.
Yes, exactly.
But, you can kind of throw it around and, live in it.
Exactly.
Without having to
fold
worry.
it up, throw it in the suitcase, unfold
pull it out.
Yeah, that was one of the signs. My Maestro Luigi Gallo in Italy. I mean, that was one of the first things he showed me. Was one of his suits, and he rolled it up real nice and put it in a suitcase, and then undid it and pulled it back out, and it was all nice and still pretty. But it wasn't. It's not sanctimonious.
Yeah. And so, how is that achieved in a handmade garment like a suit like this?
So, in my suits, I tend to put no padding in the shoulder. Give it a nice, soft, easy to wear look on the shoulder. The canvas is a linen canvas.
Is there any felting in this?
No felt. So it's just canvas and horsehair, and then there's another strip of canvas that reinforces the shoulder and reinforces the sleeve arm side. And that does it. So there's no felt in the inside. There's no extra padding. There's nothing there that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Now this is a really heavy 13-ounce Affresco fabric. I mean, this is bulletproof.
It's a fun cloth.
So it has a heavy hand to it, but the construction of the inner lining and everything is still quite light.
Still very light, yeah. And the joy in having a 13-ounce cloth with a light construction is you get that strength that the cloth provides, but you also get the softness that the interior gives you. So you're not adding padding to padding, you're not adding girth to girth or weight to weight.
Yeah.
You're adding softness to weight. And that kind of, I like that almost antithesis, or I like that kind of
the balance.
Yeah, that balance where they both kind of fight against each other.
So talk to me a little bit more about the construction of this. So you're saying the shoulders, you really, I mean, if you kind of see this, there's absolutely no shoulder pad in here. So not even a small shoulder pad, there's nothing.
Nothing.
And so this would be fabric. I mean, talk to me like, if I were to open this up, what would I see?
So what you would see, the linen canvas, and then over that would be the horsehair canvas.
So there's horsehair up here too.
Yeah, so the horsehair is going to go all the way up from the shoulder all the way down to about where the breast starts.
And I can feel it kind of ending.
And then it comes around the back too, and that's to give the curve to go over the shoulder instead of stick up. Then you also have a piece of canvas that is collar canvas, and that reinforces the shoulder, and then another strip of collar canvas that comes around and reinforces the arm side. That's going to do it. And then you have a edge tape that catches the bridle, that gives you the bridle, that actually allows the coat to hit against the chest and hug, and then also creates a lot of that roll that you see in the lapel, which you can see.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the mark of a really beautifully well-tailored suit is, again, the memory of the cloth.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of course, pressing is important and everything.
Yeah.
But, this roll is literally sewn into the fabric.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all done by the hand. So what the tailor does, what I do, or what most bespoke tailor benchmade, is what they do is they sit with the cloth, and then the canvas goes over the cloth, and they roll it while they stitch. So you'll see hundreds and hundreds of little, almost pie-shaped stitches, and those create that roll.
And I think we've got some footage of you actually doing the pad stitching.
Yeah, you should. I think we did take some of that.
So kind of working down the suit, I mean, again, it's fully canvassed all the way down. I mean, you can feel it right here if you were to pull.
You can pull the layers apart.
I mean, we've got the top fabric, the bottom fabric, and in the middle,
you can feel
it's just a single piece of canvas.
Yeah.
Is this horsehair canvas or
no?
Just
so that's
linen?
the linen canvas.
And then how far does the horsehair come down?
The horsehair is probably going to end right about
right
there.
here.
Yep.
So that is again for the chest.
That's to build the chest, and so you build the chest in a certain way where you're curving for the fullness of the chest, and then you're suppressing in for the shoulder where the concaves for the shoulder.
And then I guess this front panel, I mean, this is all one panel, but you dart it here, and then there's another dart
that goes into
right here
in the pocket.
But
yeah, and so this is this is an Italian way of making, and this is a Southern and Roman way of making. And I don't know how I haven't gone through or dissected every Roman tailor. And I think Rome has a little bit more of a hodgepodge kind of feeling or diversity to its tailoring. Sartorial Gallo, and the way that I make as well, is we do a front dart that goes all the way to the hem, which is very indicative of a Southern Italian cut. However, ours goes straight down and the pocket comes off of that, so it creates a nice cohesive. So
whereas some go through the pocket.
Through the pocket, correct, in the front dart. That would be a very Napoleon tailoring, where they do the front dart all the way to the bottom, but the pocket will come over and away from it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then in America and in England, they will do two pieces. So this front dart will end at the pocket.
Okay.
Whereas this dart here that goes into the pocket will actually go all the way down and to the bottom.
Because it's a separate
It's a separate piece. It's called a side body. And that's how you'll see most Americans make.
Yeah. I mean, that's how this one's made right here.
Yep. Yeah. And that's kind of became standard for and that goes all the way down. That came very standard for American and British cuts. And now a lot of the factories use that methodology as well.
And then we've got 3 buttons on the sleeves. Of course, I'm sure all the buttonholes are made by hand.
Yeah, everyone's made by hand, even to your.
And this is a Milanese buttonhole.
So that's an asola lucida or asola milanese, which is a buttonhole, a Milanese buttonhole.
Okay.
And that basically is the way in which that buttonhole is cut and wrapped.
It has a beautiful shape too.
It's gorgeous.
Kind of a soft.
Yeah, that's one of in my opinion, it's like
but it has a nice kind of loop to it at the end.
Yep.
Whereas this jacket
has a very straight
kind of Milanese hole.
Yep, and that to me that's kind of like the badge on the car.
Okay.
Like a BMW badge or a Mercedes badge or something like that. That's your badge, if you ask me. All the buttonholes. One of my master tailors told me that was the functioning buttonholes nowadays are kind of superfluous, and some people use them as a sign of like, look how cool I am.
Yeah, of course.
But in a way, it's kind of like the badge of the car.
Well, my opinion is if you're going to put it on the jacket, I mean, whenever you have something made by hand, there's an authenticity to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so to just sew buttons on with no working buttonhole has it's contrite, like it's not real.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a jacket like this should have all the integrity that you would expect. If you see a button, the button works.
Exactly. Yeah, I fully agree.
What else? Anything else about it? I mean, of course, the collar's attached by hand. I mean, you can see all the
so we have the collar
there.
felled by hand, attached by hand. The lapel facings are all attached by hand and felled by hand. So every in through there, that's all hand stitched.
Yeah.
And then
are you pick stitching the
Yes, so we pick stitch the edge, and we usually do a double.
So that's the pick stitch is,
it guides the cloth so that it doesn't overroll. So, because there's roll and there's fullness that's put into this lapel facing so that it can create that roll, and it can overroll. And so what you're doing is you're controlling that edge with.
And I guess with this kind of coarser fabric, you really don't see the small little picks. No. But with your jacket right here, since it's a finer cloth, you can kind of see.
You can see them.
That visual detail.
Yep, and I like it as a visual detail. I think it's an aesthetic that creates that authenticity of a handmade. The other thing that I do, and Sartorial Gallo does as well, is what we do is we turn every seam. So every seam is turned, and every seam is turned and picked. So that creates this extra strength to the cloth. It actually creates an extra kind of beauty to it, I think, and it just creates a little extra of an eye catch. Every dart's turned and picked, and on the backs and sides as well.
Yeah. So whenever you say turned, I mean, you basically mean like if you were sewing it together, it'd be like that.
Yes, exactly.
The one side is flat.
It's flat. It's pushed under. Yeah. So if this was a seam, they'd press the seam open like this. Yeah. So it would come flat.
So where you'd have
two. And so what I'm doing is I'm turning it under. So instead of pressing it open flat.
So show me here. So a turn seam would be sewn like that.
So that would be pressed open.
Pressed open.
Yeah. And then turned would be
like that. Okay. And the visual detail there is you have a little bit more of a lip.
You have a little bit more of a lip on the seams. And then also what it does is it creates more strength. And then when we do a pick stitch on top of that, which creates even more strength. So you're actually really, really strengthening your seams just for longevity and for the fact that I don't want anything changing, or ripping on you or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, let's try the suit on. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Well, the trousers.
They look beautiful.
Man, these are spot on.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I think the pleat just hangs really nice and elegant. You have a nice amount of fullness in the hip. not too much. That's the thing about a pleated trouser I never like, is when there's just too much cloth. Yeah. This is just
it's a
nice,
delicate balance. I think that's why people don't like pleated trousers, is because if it's too full,
a lot of
you feel like it's billowing.
Exactly.
Nobody likes that sensation.
No. And a lot of my first-time clients give me that reaction when I tell them we should do a pleated trouser. And I try to explain this to them, but I'm glad now we can show it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, when you have a higher rise, that's why the pleat is so essential. If we have a lower rise, you don't necessarily need that pleat because you're not needing that cloth, because your waistband's at your hips.
And this heavier weight cloth, I mean, look at the
crispness in the drape.
I mean, like this just drapes straight down.
Beautifully.
I mean, this has got to be one of the most beautiful pair of trousers I own. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
One of the other things I can feel and I really like is it's almost like the waistband. I mean, the waistband is the standard kind of inch.
Yes.
But it actually feels like the support I get through
the front.
The front is actually kind of this entire band right here.
Yep.
And so it even though it's a high waist, it's not tight, but it doesn't want to fall down. I'm not.
Yeah, you're not yanking on it.
Normally with high-waisted trousers without braces, I have this sensation of like constantly having to adjust these.
Yeah.
And I mean,
they're fantastic. They look gorgeous.
And they're comfortable. It's not like
there's no tightness, no restriction. Yeah. Fantastic.
Gorgeous.
I couldn't be happier.
And you did them with slant pockets.
Yep. Yeah, that's a kind of an ode to my Chicago Master Tailor, Chris Despos. He made those pockets, and I thought they were just really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they lie flat.
Yeah. When I think of bespoke, I think of anything that doesn't look like off the rack.
Yeah.
And I always want to incorporate those things into my pieces. So just those minor little details where someone goes, that's not normal. You know what I mean? And that type of pocket just screams, that's not normal to me.
Yeah.
Which is, there's beauty in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just see, I mean, again, how clean and how beautifully these trousers drape. I mean, that is bespoke. I mean, you can only get that through bespoke, through fittings, and through the work of a master tailor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very proud of those.
Well, let's try the jacket on.
Definitely. Fantastic. So right now I want to see it just draped as normal as it would be off of your shoulders, and as in the attention to its balance. So we want a nice clean lie, straight coming together, almost to the point where it's buttoned without it being buttoned. You have a nice beautiful roll in the lapel. Sleeves look really beautiful, chest as well.
Yeah. And so the last fitting, we took out some of the
so we took out some of the extra fullness in your chest. We adjusted for your slope, more of the slope on your shoulders. We adjusted for your waist as well, and a little bit on your hips. And then if you want, you could turn towards away from me and come this way. And then now you can see the back, which has a nice clean lie. I gave you extra room in the blades, and that's for movement. So because there's no shoulder pad and there's nothing in here, I really want to have a little bit of extra cloth back here for that movement. So on unpadded or a really soft suit, you will see a little extra fullness under here, which is, I think, a very beautiful thing.
Yeah. And the length is really nice. I mean, again, length is a really delicate issue.
It's very personal.
If my fingers are at, resting and at just a slight crook, it's just barely kind of touching.
But the underneath of the hem. Yeah.
And if someone was, we were kind of having this conversation that if you totally clench your fist, like that nook is in fact too short. So if you see me doing that now,
and you can
it's
kind of
basically
roll it under.
taking a centimeter off to what I think is a proper length. And you can tell it's definitely clearing the seat.
Cleaning up the seat, nice and clean. Really, really beautiful on the sleeve pitch as well. So you have a nice clean back on that and front. It's got a little bit of a waterfall, but not much, because I know you wanted a really clean, kind of elegant look. So we did put a rollino in there, so it does have a little bit of a sit-up. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic fit. I mean, for a first time with you as a client, and the first time we're getting to know each other, and the first time that we're kind of working with a piece where we're both bringing our aesthetical ideas to it, I think we got really, really a great result.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, so talk a little bit. So I'm looking in the mirror, and you can see, I mean, I've got really sloped shoulders.
Yes.
And so aesthetically, it looks like maybe the notches might be off, but we were talking about this earlier.
If you're looking at it from point to seam, it's going to look like they're in the wrong space. If you look at them from where they sit on your body, they're in the right space. And that goes into the account of having a softer coat with no shoulder pads. So what I can't do is I can't build this side up. Because what someone might do, which is, in my opinion, cheating, but you has their own idea and methodology and ideology. But to me, I want it to be you. I want it to be you. I want the coat to be you. I want it to be lived in by you, and I want it to represent you. And I don't want it to be constricting on you in any way. So because of that, I have to build a coat how you're built. And because you aren't, and I both aren't an Adonis, we are natural human beings who have flaws. But the coat's there to kind of hide those flaws and enunciate some of those flaws to give you more of the elegance that you deserve. So because of that, this seam is going to be shorter, or this side of the coat is going to be shorter than this side of the coat.
Okay.
So the distance from here to here is shorter than the distance from here to here. And that's because of where your shoulders stand.
And I think we measured the drop, and it's a centimeter and a half.
Yeah, so it's a centimeter and a half difference, which is pretty right on. What I will do is I will want to move this button to be able to adjust it a little bit, because we're just a touch off here. So I'll take care of that. And then the only other thing I see is just your sleeve length. And I'd like to adjust that sleeve length as well.
So just a little bit on the sleeve.
Yep, but other than that, I'm pleasantly happy.
Yeah.
This I love, and if you stand just...
Beautiful roll.
Yeah. If you just stand just as normal as possible without thinking about it, your coat just comes nice and together.
And it's comfortable. I mean, it's not heavy on the shoulders.
So you have no pressure on it, nothing that's binding or constricting.
Well, it feels great. And, but what I love is that, and I haven't worn it very long, but I mean, it's comfortable, yet I still feel the fabric and the cloth as structure. And I like that I'm feeling that by virtue of the cloth, not by virtue of a really heavy construction with a bunch of canvas and felting and everything inside. And I've got jackets. I don't mind that also. It's just a different kind of feel.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're coming to me, if you were a client of mine, that's why you would come to me. If you wanted a structured coat, if you wanted something that kind of made you do this, then you wouldn't come to me. But if you wanted something that you could travel in, that you could feel happy throwing in a suitcase and unfolding when you get to your destination, or enjoy on a day when you don't want to be so ceremonial, you want to just enjoy being in a suit, you'd come to me. And I think we hit it with that. And this cloth to me is so reminiscent of a vintage cloth. It has that body and that strength to it. But at the same time, it breathes. It's got air to it. It's got an open weave, so it'll pass air really easily to it, and it won't wrinkle as easily as well.
And this was the Minis. No, who was?
Yeah, Hardy Minis. And it's made out of Huddersfield. And then Gladson is the rep that reps for them in the United States for me, which is a fantastic cloth company. Minis is a fantastic weaver. They've got a huge history behind them as well. So Hardy Minis is the cloth maker.
Yeah. Gosh, it's gorgeous. So what else? Anything else? I mean, just as you kind of walk through, I mean, your eye, whenever you look at this, what are the things that you see where you're like, perfect, spot on?
I think the sleeve pitch is gorgeous. I think your back is fantastic as well. And then I really like the shape in the chest. I like that there's extra cloth there, which gives you that illusion.
But you go for a little bit of additional drape.
I always do. And that's my Italian nature, is just to give you a little more drape in the chest. It's an easeability. It's also 1930s to me is, I think, the pinnacle of when humanity dressed its best, both male and female. And I really hearken to that when I build my coats. And so I really like a fuller chest and then a suppressed waist. But again, if you notice on your waist, even if we button it, you're not pulling, so you don't see those V marks here. As opposed to if it was too tight, it'd be pulling like that. But we have chest, and we have shape in the waist, and we have it buttoned. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Kirby.
Couldn't be any happier with
this. Pleasure. I'm really happy with it. I know that as our sartorial journey continues, we'll create even better pieces. But for now, for our first piece, I think this is just
Where do you think we would go from here? So, what would be the next step in kind of a client journey?
For you, I think that I would step away from neutrals and grays. You have a good amount of that in your closet. I think something along the line of sport coats and trousers, I think would be a great option for you.
So an odd jacket and an
odd
trouser.
Coat and an odd trouser, and something that you do a lot of traveling, you do a lot of stuff for business, and I want to be able to give you something that you could travel and enjoy on your travels and things like that. So I think we could do a sport coat and a trouser would be beautiful.
Well, we'll have to talk about that over dinner.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.